Hi, in this video I'm going to talk about definition sentences and definition paragraphs. And these sentences and one paragraph, it comes from the reading How We Learn to Behave. Yeah, that's what it's called. The article is called How We Learn to Behave. So let's look at the language pattern. Here we have socialization is the process of learning how to behave in the society we live in. The key term is socialization. The definition is the process of learning how to behave in the society we live in. And the linking word for the two is the verb is. So the pattern that we have is socialization, key term. Sorry, the pattern that we have is key term, is, definition. Okay, let's look at the next example. The next example says, every society tries to socialize its members and does it through different groups and institutions, called socializing agents. The key term in this case is at the back of the sentence, socializing agents. The linking word is this word called, and somewhere in here, every society tries to socialize its members, does it through different groups and institutions. Somewhere in there is the definition. It's not as easy as the first example, but still we can do it. So groups and institutions that socialize its members, those two things together, that's the definition for socializing agents. Okay, let's look at the next example. The family, the school, and the peer group, that is, people of the same age, are the most important socializing agents. Okay, in this case, we have a key term, peer group, and it's defined here, inside these brackets. A lot of times when we have a key term, and it's a special new word, we'll put brackets and then the definition inside. So peer group, the definition for it here is people of the same age. And the linking word that has been given is that is, inside the brackets. Okay, how about the next example? In the next example, we have sanctions happen after a behavior and they influence whether this behavior will be repeated. Here, we're getting a definition of the word sanctions, and it really just jumps right into the definition. It's something that happens after a behavior, and it influences, or the sanctions influence whether this behavior will be repeated. We don't really have a link in here. It's just the key term and then a definition, jumping into the definition. Okay, let's look at another example. Here we go. Positive sanctions mean that the behavior is followed by something that is a reward. The key term, positive sanctions. The definition is really, the definition is the behavior is followed by something that is a reward. And the linking word here is mean. Positive sanctions mean something. So we have we have the key term, we have the definition, and the linking word is mean. Let's look at the next example. On the other hand, negative sanctions, also known as punishments, mean that something negative happens after a behavior. So our key term is negative sanctions. Our linking word is mean. And the definition is something negative that happens after a behavior occurs. So those are the three parts of the definition there. And we also have something interesting here, also known as punishments. What's happening here is this is the word punishments is what's called a synonym. It's another word meaning the same thing. So in this case, negative sanctions, a synonym is punishments. All right, let's look at the next example. Modeling refers to the process of learning by watching the behavior of others, especially parents, and copying that behavior. The key term is modeling. The linking word is, or the term is refers to, and the definition is the process of learning by watching the behavior of others, especially parents, and copying that behavior. There it is. That's a very simple pattern. Okay, let's look at the next one. Where are we? Okay. It is easy to assume, to believe something without proof, or jump to a conclusion that every culture socializes children in the same way. So here, our key term in bold is assume. And again, we have brackets. And the brackets for us here, after we have this new word and brackets, it's a signal that our definition is being provided. It's an explanation of the word assume. So here's the definition: to believe something without proof or jump to a conclusion. All right. Okay, so that's all for the sentences, how we make a definition in a sentence form. There's different patterns. One of the easiest patterns is this one, where you have key term is and then the definition. Here's another one that we see a lot. Key term, mean or means, and then definition. This is one we see a lot also. Key term refers to, and then the definition. So I think, let's see if I can get a different color here. Okay, for me for me teaching you, I think the great ones for you to pay attention to and try to use are this one, that pattern. What's another pattern that's good for you? I think maybe you want to try this pattern and this pattern. Let's see what else. I think those are the best ones for you. And if you're interested, you might even try this pattern where you have a key term and then brackets and the definition inside. That's how we define something inside of a sentence where we're talking about something else. Now let's look at a definition paragraph. All right. So here's the paragraph. Sanctions happen after a behavior and they influence whether this behavior will be repeated. Positive sanctions mean that the behavior is followed by something that is a reward. For example, spelling mistake. For example, if a child asks a parent, "May I have some chocolate, please?" and the parent gives the child some chocolate, the child learns that saying please at the end of a request gets him or her what he or she asked for. On the other hand, negative sanctions, also known as punishments, mean that something negative happens after a behavior occurs. when a child says, "Give me some chocolate," and the parent says, "No chocolate until you learn to ask politely," and does not give the child chocolate, the child learns that it is not a good idea to speak this way because he or she does not get what he or she wants. So this is a very good example of a definition paragraph. This paragraph is, the main idea is totally about sanctions, and it gives us certainly the key term and a definition for it in the very first sentence. Now the first sentence, is called a topic sentence. And that highlights the main idea for the paragraph. Okay, next we have this thing. Okay, positive sanctions. And then we also have a definition for it. We have down here, we have something, negative sanctions, and we have a definition for it. So really what's happening is we have our main idea, sanctions. We have this next thing, positive sanctions, that's supporting idea number 1. And negative sanctions, that's supporting idea number 2. And each of those come with its own definition. So what do we have? We have the topic sentence, we have supporting idea number 1, and if we keep going, what happens is, after supporting idea number 1, we're given an example that supports supporting idea number 1. It illustrates supporting idea number 1. Good. And then we go to supporting idea number 2. And following supporting idea number 2, we have an example for it. Here's the example for supporting idea number 2. So what's the pattern of that paragraph? Oops. The pattern of that paragraph is topic sentence, supporting idea 1, and then there's an example 1. Oops. How do I move all that? I'm trying to move this. Just a moment. Okay, I'll move that out of the way. I'll move that up. And so we have topic sentence, supporting idea 1, example 1, and then it goes to supporting idea 2, and then example 2. That's the structure for the definition paragraph. Topic sentence 1, or the topic sentence, it contains a definition. And then supporting idea 1 is a sub-definition. It's, so you have sanctions gets defined, and then there's 2 types of sanctions. There's positive sanctions and negative sanctions. And supporting idea 1, it talks about positive sanctions. Supporting idea 2 talks about negative sanctions. And each one has its own example. All right. So, oops. Move that out of the way. Bring that back. So that's how that definition paragraph works. I'm going to stop my little lesson here. Hopefully you've understood it, and if not, you're always welcome to ask me questions or or ask your instructor questions. Thank you.